What are my favorite readers on the entire internet? Today we're going to be giving you guys my favorite YA novels of all time. First and foremost is Vampire Chronicles, which is actually not a YA novel, but I do think it needs to be mentioned. This is the novel that changed the entire supernatural genre, and it allowed for books like Vampire Diaries and Twilight to ever actually be published and created. And it's a vampire story, obviously, but it talks about vampires in a totally different way that we've never seen before. As Dracula is one of the very first vampire novels that came out around 100 years before this book, the Vampire Chronicles actually really does feel like a response to Dracula, and it really gives us the humane side of vampires and how vampires actually are human. And it shows vampires in a light that makes them very more human than they are monster. And it's through the lens of seeing vampires as actual humans and having human feelings and emotions that we see other series take and use, such as the Vampire Diaries and Twilight. And that's why I feel like it does need to be included and talked about, because it allowed for so much change in the young adult genre. And it's actually a really good read, and it's 3 books. They're really long, but they're really good. Next on my list is Hush Hush, which is an amazing angel novel, which became popular when angel novels weren't actually really popular at all. I don't think they really are. And I definitely got invested in this series because of the romantic elements to it, as well as like just the way it explains angels and this background behind that. It's about this girl who falls in love with this guy who just ends up happening to be an angel. And I know that kind of sounds very cliche, but the novel makes it a really good attempt at making sure that it doesn't really feel like a cliche novel, and it does a really good job. And the main character, the girl, is really easy to resonate with, and I highly recommend you actually go and read this book. Next on my list is another angel novel called Fallen, which actually does angels, I believe, in a way better way than Hush Hush did. Fallen takes angels down like this entirely different path that we saw in Hush Hush, and instead of just being a couple angels that fall from heaven, we now have an entire group of them. Each one of them have like their own reasons, their own histories on why they fell. And it actually does a really good job of explaining the characters and exploring all the characters, including the supporting characters. And even though it does have a love triangle, it does a really good job of cleaning that love triangle up and making sure that the love triangle feels plausible and just poignant. It's 4 books long, but from the very first book to the very last book, it is filled with so many thrills and ups and downs and plot twists that are just, and it makes it stand out so much better than any other angel novel out there. Next on my list is The Fifth Wave, which does aliens right. Like, there's not that many other alien books out there, and this one really does a really good job of taking from the vampire genres and taking from werewolves and taking from all the other supernatural and speculative fiction genres and meshing it together into this one being. And the meshing of all these genres does like an amazing job of making sure that this novel feels unique and complete and fleshed out. And the main premise of the story is very simple. It's about a girl who tries to save her brother from these aliens. Very simple premise. It's about a girl trying to save her brother from these aliens. And it's about humanity's struggle to prevail after the 5th wave of an alien attack on Earth. And I feel like it does an amazing job, and I loved it. And you guys should probably definitely go read it, as the final book just came out recently in 2016. There's a fair number of supernatural novels in this list. All of the series, 1, because it gave us this very beautiful cover art, and 2, because it's a very fantastic novel about werewolves. And I have read way too many bad werewolf novels. To me, this series does a really good job of taking the basic formula for a werewolf novel and changes everything up and flips everything upside down. Girl dates guy just happens to be werewolf, they fall in love. And it takes that 3 basic formula and makes sure that this novel is different and that it stands out. And that's what I love about it. And the main character is very easy to resonate with, and I highly recommend that you read this novel if you're into werewolf novels, because this one is one of the few that do it right. Next on the list is the Water Song series by Amanda Hocking. And if you haven't read an Amanda Hocking book, you should probably go and read. This novel is about mermaids. Mermaids. Fucking mermaids. This novel is about mermaids, and it sticks out so much because it's about mermaids. Like, you never read another series that's about mermaids, never even heard of one. This is one of the very first books that I actually read, and it's about mermaids. It just feels so weird and different to have a book that's about mermaids. And it's one of the very few books on this list where love does not play the key factor in advancing the plot. And this is one of the very few books on this list where love does not play a very key part in advancing the plot. Yes, but romance is included in the plot. It's mainly about this girl who's trying to fit in with these other 3 girls, and when she goes and chills with them underneath this cove, all hell breaks loose. They have these weird magical powers because they're mermaids and they're super attractive, and they spike the main character and turn her into a mermaid too, and it's really good and you should definitely read it. And it's a very unique approach to not only mermaids but just the young adult genre in general. And next on my list is Delirium, which is a novel where love is a disease. Yes, a disease. And the government makes this thing called the Cure, which allows for them to control the people and make sure that none of them fall in love with anyone, and they are all assigned mates, basically. But like most young adult characters, Lena was not having that shit. And this novel is mainly about Lena's journey living inside the city and following these rules, and then venturing out into the wilds, and then her journey back to the city. And along this journey, she finds out the true meaning of what love is. I love this novel because Lauren Oliver has a very unique way of writing, and I love her writing style, and the way she's able to describe some of these his worlds and what's going on is very fascinating. Next on my list is The Uglies, which is another novel about a government trying to control the people. But in this novel, the government is trying to control beauty and what beauty is. But in this novel, the government is trying to control beauty, and it gives shots to everyone at the age of 16 to make them pretty. And everyone underneath the age of 16 is now considered ugly. Yes, ugly. I love this novel because it talks about societal needs versus individual wants and where these roads intersect. And it asks the question of who actually has power, the individual or the society in which the individual is within. And this story follows Tally, a girl who's trying to dismantle the system in the way in which people perceive beauty. And all the themes that he's trying to achieve and talk about in this novel, he does an amazing job of talking about them and presenting them through this young adult medium. Next on my list is Skinjackers. Skinjackers was one of the very first series that I probably got into at a younger age. About these 2 kids who get into a wreck at the very start of the first book, and they both die, and they go into this ghost world type thing that runs parallel to the human world. And it was actually one of the very first novels that I read, and it had so much depth to it. And everything about this novel feels completely original. Like, I can't relate it to any other novel out there. I can't really relate this novel to another book out there or say it's just like this novel because it feels so original and unique. I don't really know another ghost story that's about these 2 kids dying in their own journey and adventure into the realm of the dead, but try to reclaim their innocence after dying. It's a very beautiful and poignant story about these 2 kids in their journey, and I definitely feel like you should read it, as it's been one of my favorite reads since I've actually read it in middle school. And what tops the list is Harry Potter, which always usually stays at the top of my list, as it's a very fantastic story about wizards and witches and magic and things that are very cool and that you should have probably already read by now. And if you haven't read Harry Potter, you should definitely go read it, as it's probably one of the very best young adult books of all time. Harry Potter is this really epic novel about good versus evil and how good always triumphs over evil. It has like 7 books, and each of them just grow in page length, but they're really good, and you should definitely go check them out, or at least just read the first one, which is the shortest one, which is around like 200-300 pages. So those are all of my favorite young adult series. I would love for you guys to go comment down below in the comment section your favorite young adult series. I would love to hear them and talk about them with you guys. If you don't have a young adult series in mind, you can just talk about any young adult novel out there, and I would still love to hear that. Thanks for watching. Keep your heads up high and expectations. Great. Hey you, you have been nominated to watch even more of my videos clicking one of these little hovering alien buttons right over here in this direction, or you can go big and hit the jacket popper, hitting that little subscribe button right over there is somewhere over here. I don't know, like somewhere over here. There, click it.